What's up, guys? Welcome to About the Buckets for May 1st, 2023. Uh, got a familiar face and a new face here. We got Mike. Haven't seen you in, about a month now? Life's been busy.
Yeah, man.
Yeah,
Yes. Glad to be back. Glad to be back.
we're so thankful to have you back because, we missed you for the last little
I
bit.
missed you
And
guys,
then
man.
Petrie, who is my partner for Kane's post game on this same channel. He's joining us for About the Buckets. So, Petrie, welcome.
Hey, thank you. I'm glad to be on, man. I know we talk about the Canes for the most part, and it'll be like that during football season, but happy to talk about some Heat basketball and happy to talk about some NBA as a whole.
Yeah.
Good playoffs
So,
so far.
speaking of your Heat, upset of the century, at least upset of the decade, maybe, in beating the Bucks in 5 games. I mean, who saw that coming, man? So, be honest with me, Petrie. How shocked are you that it actually was Heat in 5?
I'm going to tell you, I'm not quite as shocked as I was that the Panthers took down the Bruins in hockey in 7. But I will say I was a bit surprised. I knew going in. I'm not one of these people that reduces the entire series to whatever the projections are by the talking heads, and they say, "Oh, the Heat don't have a chance." I'm gonna say, I said, listen, there's a lot of things that need to go right.
Yeah.
Jimmy needs to go nuclear, which he did, and a couple of things did need to break Miami's way,
Yeah.
which they did. And it worked out. Nobody saw Heat in 5. If anybody would have said Heat in 6, maybe 7, even if you were that bold, I don't think anybody had the Heat in 5.
Well, I think part of it, to add broader context, is I think if you would have asked everyone their projections before the play-in, if it would have just been straight up seeding, like, hey, the Heat are in, they're playing, what's the deal? I would have been much more favorable to the Heat. But watching them play Atlanta and watching them play Chicago killed any optimism that I had for Miami. I mean, I was all into, like, the Heat are doing their thing. Jimmy is Jimmy. Eric Spoelstra is doing his thing. Bam is solid. Like, I was all about it, but then watching the Atlanta and the Chicago games in the play-in was just like, oh man, this team is cooked. They look terrible in both
Well,
those
the
games.
the Atlanta loss was entirely effort. They got absolutely crushed on the rebounds. It wasn't even close. They got decimated. I think they got out rebounded by almost double. I think it was like
Yeah.
about 50 to 25. It was 50 to
Damn.
30, 50 to 20 or so.
Yeah.
They got absolutely crushed. And then even in the Chicago game, they looked lazy too. I don't know.
Was that a slip? Was that a Freudian slip?
Yeah,
It
sure.
sounded like you said Chicago. Or did you? But anyway,
So, Mike,
go ahead, go ahead.
Mike,
Yeah.
I want to know, your thoughts as a resident Jimmy Butler stan. I know
Yeah.
he's one of your guys, but also a Heat hater of sorts. I don't know if that's too strong, is it? How
It's
did
not so
you
much
feel?
the franchise; it's fans that are unlike the guests that we have today.
Yeah, I get you. I have some very close friends that are Lakers fans, but I say that I hate Lakers fans, so I get it. But yeah,
But
what
I'm sorry.
what
What
was
was
your,
your question?
I was just saying, what was your thoughts on it, man? I mean, I
Look,
know you
man.
don't love the Heat, but you love Jimmy.
Honestly, like Petrie said, that needed to happen. That's one of the things that needed to happen. But although they didn't play like it for most of the season this year, they still know how to play together. I mean, this is almost the same team coming back from last year, right? And last year, I've been saying, as much as it makes me puke in my mouth, that they played the best team basketball out of anybody in the league, going back to
Yeah.
last season. Okay, they passed it well. They passed up good shots or better shots. Always found the open man. Their defense was timely in the sense that they knew when to go to zone. Spoelstra, I think, is the only, not the only, but one of the few coaches in this league that has such a pulse on his team. He knows what triggers to push, when to push them, all of that stuff. And all of that stuff really does matter. And like
Oh
I
yeah.
said, as I'm puking in my mouth, that culture stuff is real. You know what I mean? Like, if you get guys that buy in, that's all you need. That
Yeah.
is all you need. I know my role. Okay, I will do that. So I wasn't surprised. I wasn't as surprised knowing that. Okay. And then
Yeah.
I guess I could relate that to, well, why didn't they play that way this year? I guess I could relate that to kind of like when you have a team that isn't always the best team in the regular season. Let's take the Giants, the year that they beat the Patriots. Okay.
Hmm.
They were, I think, 9-7 going into the playoffs, but they got hot at the right time. Okay.
Yeah.
So the Heat right now, they didn't play hot the first half yesterday. They were missing everything, but they were still right there. They were still
Yeah.
right there. And I said in the beginning of the season, I think I showed you the tweet. Petrie, tell me if you agree or not. I said the Knicks win if I'm drawing a blank. Thibodeau. If I said if
Yeah.
Thibodeau employs the same type of defensive strategy that he employed against LeBron, not that he completely shut down LeBron when they played Miami, okay, but Thibodeau's Bulls' defense gave Miami fits. Let's just keep it real. They gave them fits. They hated playing against the Bulls, and they would always beat them in the regular season. And then I said if he plays that type of defense against Jimmy, not that he's going to shut Jimmy down, but enough defense to where if that happened and they never got that help, I could see the Knicks winning. I said the Heat win is if they find that consistent number two, and I said it had to be Bam, just because naturally I think that's who it should be. The thing is about with the Heat is it could be this guy one night, it could be this guy one night, it could be this guy one night, but I think you target Bam first. The guy's averaging 8 points in the first round. He averaged 8.6. That's not gonna get it done. Now I said also that Game 1 was a must-win because of the simple fact that Randall wasn't there. They got it. I don't know what his status is for Game 2. I don't know what Jimmy's status is for Game 2. It doesn't really matter. They got their one. My uncle said that they should sit Jimmy Game 2. I don't know about that, but I think that those two. I think that's what I said going into the series, Petrie. I don't know if you agree. Knicks win if that happened, and Heat win if they found that consistent second and or third guy. And Bam wasn't the second leading scorer yesterday. I think it was Gabe Vincent, wasn't it?
Yeah, Gabe Vincent had a hell of a game.
Yeah.
Even Kyle Lowry had almost 20
He
points. I think he had
did
about
off the
18.
bench.
But it's like you said, it could come from anybody at any point in time.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Jimmy, he's going to have to be the guy. He has to be the best player in the series, which of course he is, on paper, he's the best player in the series, but he needs to be the best player in every single game. For the Heat to have a chance, Julius Randle's coming back. That's going to help out the Knicks. It's fantastic that they were able to steal a game, the first one in New York. God willing, they can get the second one, right? But we'll see how it goes. And even if they don't, it's not the end of the world. Come back to Miami and take care of business. See what happens.
Yeah, I really agree with your point that Jimmy has to be the best player in every game this series. Due to the simple fact that like the Knicks don't have like Brunson's good, Randall is good sometimes. I'm not Randall's biggest fan, but I mean he's gonna make All NBA for the second time this year, right? That's not an easy thing to do. But the Heat, the Knicks have nobody on Jimmy Butler's level the way that he's playing in the playoffs right now. However, they are like 9 guys deep, and the Heat are like 5 guys deep. And I'm really interested to see that dynamic. It's going to be a good coaching battle. I thought Eric Spoelstra really had Mike Budenholzer outclassed in round 1. Obviously the news came out later about Budenholzer's brother, so I don't want to get too much into that. That's a really horrible and sad situation. But I think this is going to be more of an even coaching battle. I'd still take Spoelstra, with the edge, but I think it'll be much closer to even. So it is going to be on Jimmy. I think it's going to be on Jimmy to really be dominant in this series, or else the Knicks really could take it out from underneath them, in my opinion.
100%. And to refocus on Mike's opinion about how Thibodeau really did do a great job with those Bulls teams when the Heat had LeBron. They did a really good job. Jimmy is playing terrific basketball, but unfortunately, he doesn't have the same kind of supporting cast and help the benefit that LeBron did. So yeah, Thibodeau could scheme some stuff up and take LeBron completely out of a game, but you don't know Wade's going to go off for 30, or Chris Bosh is going to go off for 25 and 12, or maybe Mario Chalmers is going to hit 5 or 6 3-pointers, something like that, right? Jimmy does not have the same type of support that LeBron did when LeBron was in Miami. LeBron had 2 Hall of Famers in the starting lineup with him. Jimmy's got 3 or 4 undrafted players in the starting lineup with him. Let's get real here.
I mean,
respect all the Heat players, and they're making the best out of their potential. But come on, let's call it what it is.
No, I get it. No, it's like you said, it is what it is. I just call me crazy, not call me whatever. I want to hear it. That's what we're here to talk about. But yes, it would be ideal if Jimmy is Jimmy Buckets for 4 games for Miami. However, and your point is valid that the Heat don't have the arsenal that they had during the Big Three era. But these guys still play. They're good, man. And I mean, let's say, to me, this is the second time in Kyle Lowry's career that he's not even the best point guard on his team. And I'm not just talking about this season, okay? But he's been there. He's been he can give you what he gave you in game 1. I love Gabe Vincent. Strus, another ex-Bull, okay? These guys, like I said, if they give you enough, and again, this guy's about it's about knowing your role in their parts. And let me ask you this. This is a question for both of you. If Jimmy doesn't go for more than 25 for the rest of the series, can the Heat win it if they get formidable contributions from the others? Let's say his max is 25 for the rest of the series.
But I think he can, because when you look at a Jimmy Butler 25-point game, a lot of times that comes with somewhere between 8 and 11 rebounds. That typically comes with 2, 3, 4 steals, maybe a block or 2. So when you say can we get away with Jimmy only scoring 25? Sure, if he's doing all the other stuff the right way. And he plays a clean point guard sometimes. He's like a point forward these days, and he plays a clean point guard. So, as long as if he's handling the ball the majority of the time, not turning the ball over, no turnovers, and he's doing his rebounds and steals and blocks, then, hey, 25 points is almost extra credit at that point.
And of those 25 points, a very good, I'm not going to say good chunk, but some formidable amount of those points is going to come in the clutch.
I was going to say, 15 to 17 of those points might come in the third and into the fourth quarter. So, 25 points for the game. But, man, a lot of people overlook that. With the scoring burst that's taken over the NBA these days, people overlook how nice a 25-point game with a good shooting percentage and a couple of steals. People overlook how important that is for a game. I'm not going to compare it exactly like this, but look at Major League Baseball right now with Shohei Ohtani. They're making a huge deal out of the fact that the guy hits and pitches at the same time. Well, what happens when a guy goes out there and scores 20 or 25 points, a couple of steals, and a couple of blocks? Well, who's doing all that? All the guys that score in the 25 to 35-ish range, are they really putting up steals and blocks like that too, causing turnovers and generating positive momentum for the team?
Yeah, Jimmy was +9 yesterday. We all know about his 25 points. Wow, I brought up the number 25 not because he hit that yesterday, just because I thought it was a nice round number for him. Had 11 rebounds. That's the thing for me. I need Bam to kind of you can't let Jimmy out rebound you. Jimmy had more offensive rebounds and defensive rebounds than Bam. And I like Bam. I just don't get why we're not seeing more of him on the boards. And the reason why I said game 1 was a must win, because Randall being out. But they needed to win the rebound battle with him not being there. And as a team, the Heat board, they brought down 39 boards. They got out rebounded and still won the game. The Knicks brought down 48, sorry. But whatever, man, they got the job done.
Now I will say for Bam, no ceilings out of bio, he is a terrific player. But this is almost a commentary on how good of a player he is. This was something I'm trying to remember who it was games. I think it was game 6 for the Bucks. And he had 20 points, 11 rebounds, and had a terrific game. I think he had a triple-double, if I'm not mistaken. He had a 20-point triple-double or 25-point triple-double. Correct me if I'm wrong. And we're sitting, and I was watching that game. I was like, man, Bam's playing like shit. Bam's having a tough game. And then and I'm not just a box score watcher, but you look at it at the end and you go, wait, I said he had a bad game, and this motherfucker had a 25-point triple-double? That's a bad game. Yeah. All right, well, maybe I should, just shut up.
Yeah, Bam has been an enigma for me this playoffs, man. I've really been struggling.
It's not smart for people who like to gamble. If you're trying to gamble on lines with Bam, that's not your best choice.
Because I mean, I watch a handful of Heat games during the regular season. I've watched probably every game they've played in the playoffs, though. At least 90% of their playoff possessions. And I'm kind of going through Bam's regular season stats. I'm well acquainted with so many Heat fans that are really high on him, and man, probably 5 out of these 6 games I've just been like, man, I'm just not seeing much out of this guy. Like, not that I think he sucks, but
Yeah.
it's more like, where is he? What like what's going on, man?
You know what it makes me think about is not that their game is comparable, but you remember how Andrei Kirilenko used to just always get like 5 of
5x5,
4,
dude.
the 5x5, right?
Yeah.
When I think about Bam, I think about like a 5x4, 5x5 kind of player. Not that they play similarly, but you know what I'm saying? Points, rebounds, assists, just coincidentally throughout the course of the game, you have such a tremendous impact. It does remind me in that capacity of the big AK-47, man.
Yeah. That's
best nickname ever in basketball.
Yeah. He's a guy that would have benefited from being born 20 years later. Could you imagine him in today's, like, as a power forward in today's basketball?
Runs the floor. Yep.
Yeah. He'd be a point forward. Yeah.
Yeah.
How's Jimmy's ankle? I mean, I know they haven't said anything, but I mean, I don't know how accurate it was. I think it was a Bleacher Report that said, it was an article that I read today, that his ankle was the size of a baseball. I didn't read it anywhere else. Bleacher Report put it out there, but have you guys heard anything about his ankle?
I didn't hear those. I didn't hear those words specifically. I saw that Spoelstra in an interview said that Jimmy's on treatment around the clock, which of course, no shit, right? But the big talk has been whether or not he should even play. Now, here's my thing: is the Heat after tomorrow don't play again until Saturday, dude. That is 3 days off, no matter how you cut the cake. And I'm sitting there and I go, okay, well, Jimmy should start. And I'm saying hopefully it wouldn't be a big necessity that he would be playing a ton of minutes. But if you go out there and get Jimmy a couple of 20, 25, maybe pushing 30 minutes and, just be comfortable with it, I don't see what the issue with that is.
Well, you heard what they said that he was at the end of the game, right?
The decoy. But
he didn't even touch the ball in the last 4 possessions.
I know. And I watched every second of that one, and he didn't touch the ball. But guess what? The Knicks did not attack him. They didn't go at him. Thibodeau, I expect him to make some adjustments. But like Big Dog in the game, you didn't go at Jimmy. Even when he's at 70, 75, 80 or so percent, he's still more fearsome as a defender than most people. So they still didn't want to go at him. So we'll see. I think Jimmy will play. Start, I would hope so. He seems to have, like, he wants to lay his nuts on the counter and show you what he's working with, all right? He wants to play, and he will. Probably, I would hope he would play maybe limited minutes.
Yeah, I think that's smart. Especially when you said the time off the field.
If the Heat steal a second one, that would be just unbelievable. And then he gets 3 days coming back home with a 2-0 lead. That would be nuts. I'm not saying I'm not calling it, but it would be great.
Yeah. Well, I think we should move on to Warriors and Lakers. But first, let's
move on to any other team. Seriously, who's talking about the Heat so much? Jesus.
Let's start with Game 7, Warriors vs. Kings. I hated it. I know, Mike. I know you love the Warriors. I not so much. I respect them, just don't really like them that much. But man, like, the Kings were so fun. I thought they played really good for about 2.5 quarters in that game. But what can you do when a top 10 player of all time scores 50 points on you in a Game 7 on the road? What can you do?
Listen, I don't understand why people keep thinking this dynasty's dead. I don't understand that. I remember when Dre said, I think, after they lost to Toronto, okay, and Clay tore his ankle and, all of this, I'm sorry, his ACL. And he was like, I think he was asked in a post-game press conference after they lost, like, this dynasty's not over. Like, what's wrong with you guys? It's not. Yeah. They have those 3, the core, and they have the coach. And heck, they still got, what's his name, the center. He's which, by the way, have you seen his high school tape? Oh my God. It's just mind-blowing. It's crazy. But in any event, I don't get it. I don't get it. They keep shutting people up. People thought that they weren't going to do it last year. Steph finally proved the doubters wrong. Look, I can win one on my own, quote, air quotes, on my own. And what won their championship last year is the same thing that won Game 7. Championship medal, championship resolve.
Yep.
They literally have been. What was this series? It was they were down 2-0, right?
Yeah, 2-0.
For the first time since this dynasty
Yeah.
got together, they were down 2-0 going home. Okay, never been down 2-0 before. We saw these guys come back from 3-1 to OKC when they won 73 games and they lost to the Cavs that year in 7 at home at Oracle. And I'm not surprised that they won. When they were down and they lost Game 6, I thought they were going to win it, but I had full confidence they win Game 7.
Yeah.
And I think this series is going to be an underrated series. I will not be surprised to see this series go 7. I think the Lakers are playing well. I think Golden State's playing better, but I won't be surprised to see it go 7. I don't think it's going to go 7, but I won't be surprised to see it go 7.
Do you guys want a spicy hot take from me? It's more of a question. It's a question, but there's a hot take loaded in there. Considering what we watched tonight with Boston and Philly, we'll get to that later. But I mean, if you would have asked me yesterday who's the odds-on favorite, I would have said Boston. If you're asking me now, I'm going to say, is this Lakers-Warriors series the NBA Finals? I mean, is the champion of this season going to come from this Lakers-Warriors series? I'm kind of feeling like – go ahead.
I say no because if the Lakers win, I don't see them winning at all.
Okay.
But my team that I think Golden State's going to repeat. I think they want to repeat.
Yeah.
For historical purposes.
Man, that's tremendously difficult because, Phoenix and Denver are matched up. So one of those two teams is going to be in the Western Conference Finals. And then Philadelphia and Boston are in the Eastern Conference Finals, which many earlier today would have told you that this was a Boston favored party. But as of today, I don't know if they would say the same thing now that Philly stole one, especially without Joel Embiid. So that one of Philly or Boston is going to at least make it to the Eastern Conference Finals. So, I mean, if the winner of Warriors-Lakers, they'll make it to the Western Conference Finals. Are they going to have a chance? Sure. But they're going to have to play either Phoenix or Denver, who are both very, very good. And then they're going to have to play the winner of either Philadelphia, Boston, or the Miami Heat, because the Miami Heat are definitely beating the Knicks.
Yeah. I think that the NBA champion is coming out of the West.
Yeah.
It's going to
Which is crazy because that was not something that anybody really would have agreed with even maybe a couple of weeks ago. I think a couple of weeks ago they would have said whoever wins between Milwaukee or Boston, give them the ring and call it a day. I think that's what a lot of people would have said even a couple of weeks ago.
Can't argue that.
So,
and then the Heat had different plans and they ruined it all. But anyway.
So, not that I'm so high on my own opinion. But there's something about a few of these teams. Phoenix is one of them. Boston is one of them. Philly is one of them. And these teams that are left, they don't quite pass the smell test to me. And sure, I mean, Phoenix has Kevin Durant and Devin Booker.
No depth.
No depth is the problem. But when let's say they do get to the finals, of course they did. They have Kevin Durant and Devin Booker, right?
Well,
or Philly, Joel Embiid is playing like an MVP. Boston has Jason Tatum and
Jaylen Brown playing like an All-Pro as well.
Yeah, and so
not an
it's
All-Pro,
not that they
NBA All-Team.
Yeah, it's not like they lack talent or anything. There's just something about the way that these teams are playing right now that just is a little off to me. So I don't know. I guess that is the genesis of why I'm asking: is it Lakers versus Warriors? Will this decide the eventual NBA champion? I'm kind of leaning towards yes right now. And obviously, if the Lakers come out of this series, health is a big question mark. Anthony Davis, who falls on the ground writhing in pain 4 times a game, it seems like. There's 4 times a game you think oh my gosh, he broke his pelvis. It's bad. And can he last 2 more series beyond this? Can LeBron, as a 38-year-old, last 2 more series beyond this? I don't know. But if you take the health out of it, I think these might be the two best teams left.
You're saying which two teams?
Lakers and Warriors.
Wow. Okay. Listen, I'm for it, man. I love surprises. I love everything that happens in the playoffs except injuries. I hate it. I hate it because I want to see everybody's best. You know what I mean? But I respect the opinion because you're not, one of these idiots out there. The only reason I say no is because I don't see the Lakers beating Denver's depth. I could see them giving Phoenix a problem, maybe. All right.
Yeah.
I don't see them beating Boston. That would be actually a better series. I can see that going 6. Philly, I think that'll be a good one, but I just don't see. I could see Golden State winning it all. I don't see the Lakers winning it all. I say this a lot. I wouldn't be surprised if it happens. I'd be shocked if the Lakers win it all.
Yeah.
My real problem with your take is that they're going to have to play the Heat and they're going to lose in 5 games.
Can you imagine a bubble rematch? That'd be crazy.
That is just, I don't even, it's very difficult to look this far ahead except for knowing that the Heat are going to be there.
Yeah. Did you see the new shirt that AB put out the other day, the Heat in 5 T-shirt? It's pretty great.
Oh God, no, I didn't see it.
Oh man, that one's about more than 4 or 5 years overdue. That one is overdue.
right.
Heat in 5. Let's go.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm interested to see this Lakers series. I mean, Mike, you and I have talked about this a minute. I'm a LeBron fan. I would say my fandom for LeBron has waned over the last few years.
Why?
Probably since he's gone to the Lakers. I've always hated the Lakers as a Jazz fan. Just regional rivalry. They're kind of big brother. They always, anytime the Jazz were good enough to do something, it seems like the Lakers kind of punched them in the face and put them in their place. But
with the Lakers, with the Lakers and the Warriors series, it has a potential to be a slugfest. I know we're talking about like 7 games, and that's not really exactly a hot take, but I mean, you talk about the Warriors offensively on the perimeter and the Lakers defensively not exactly having an answer for what Steph and Clay are going to be able to bring. And then you got LeBron and Anthony Davis who are going to feast in the paint. And Draymond's really the only guy who can seriously hang with the likes of LeBron and AD. So, I mean, this thing could be a real slugfest here.
Yeah, because Golden State Iggy is not there like he was to slow down LeBron. Let's face it, he got that MVP because of the defensive job that he did on LeBron in whatever year that was. He's not playing. Kuminga, he's athletic. I don't know if he's as experienced enough to have an Iggy type of effect on him. Heck, he's not even getting that many minutes right now in the rotation. But they're both teams, like Petrie said, they have weapons where the other team doesn't have answers for. So it could absolutely be a slugfest.
Yeah, I think this Warriors team, I'm with you, Mike, when we're saying that this dynasty is not dead, it's not over. I think that's very clear, right? Especially when Steph Curry is perhaps playing the best basketball of his entire life right now. How can you say that it is over? But I do think they might have their worst supporting cast yet this year.
Okay.
Dante DiVincenzo.
He's a good little ball player. But that's what you have to say is he's a good little ball player. That's it.
Yeah. I think he's not a guy that you're gonna be wanting to play 15 minutes in an NBA Finals game. At least that's my take.
I mean, if you think about it, I mean, what is it? What is a point guard? Just not a point guard because Steph is the point guard, but what would the other guard in that offense? What is his job? Just think about it. You're not going to be the first option. You're not going to be the second option. You might be the third. Well, you're not going to be the third option because that's Wiggins. Okay, so you really just have to make sure you get guys in space. Make sure the floor is spread. If you see a lane to take it. If they crash on you, kick out. So a point guard's job. The other guard, I keep saying point guard, but the other guard's job in that offense, it's not like heavy.
Don't turn the ball over, play some defense.
Don't turn the ball over.
Try to snag a few rebounds.
And DiVincenzo's not one of those guys you could leave open. He can hit a shot. He's a good player. So, I mean, it's not a lot of heavy lifting in that offense. So, I mean, and look, that's an interchangeable piece too because that starting lineup can include, wasn't Drake coming off the bench a couple games ago? or in this series,
Yeah,
he came off the
he
bench at
did.
least once or twice.
I don't,
Yeah,
and I
I
don't
think
expect
it was
that to
after the
continue.
suspension game.
You
I think it
know,
was after the
and
suspension
then
game he came after.
okay,
Yeah.
all right, because you got Poole coming off the bench, so Poole can start him. I mean, they could
Yeah.
mess with that lineup a little bit.
Yeah. I get what you're saying. And don't get me wrong, because I would probably, if I had to put money on who was going to win the finals, I'd probably put it on Golden State. But I do think this is their worst team yet.
Okay.
Since, the Clay, Steph, Draymond thing. And part of that is Poole. Poole is not the dude he was last year, at least right now. That can always change because he was that guy 12 months ago. He's not that guy right now. So
Poole is inconsistent, man. Like, he reminds me of Tyler Hero in a way. Like, he's going to get a couple of jump shots off and not exactly play very physical, strong defense. He might pop off for 30 or so, but a lot of the times he's going to float around the 15 to 17 range.
Yeah. Yep. Well, so what? Let's touch on Boston, Philly. I know we're kind of up against the clock right now, so let's touch on Boston, Philly real quick before we take off. I think we talked about earlier, the shock of Joel Embiid not playing, and Philly taking game 1 in Boston. I mean, make it make sense to me. Playoff Harden. We joked about this before. Playoff Harden. Who knew that it existed, right?
So I mean, there was a clip of, and I just saw it before coming on with you guys about how Kendrick Perkins was saying James Harden's not that guy anymore. Da 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 da. He can't do it. Da 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 da. I hate knee-jerk reactions. I hate it, and I'm talking about experts in any sport. I hate it. I hate it because until it happens consistently, I don't want to hear it. Okay, Rose was done how many times? Okay. DeMarcus Cousins, I still don't think give him a chance. You know what I mean? Or not anymore. But I'm saying as soon as he came back from the Achilles, people were saying he was done. It's like, give him a chance. I said that to say this, okay? I don't think James Harden's lost a goddamn thing. I think he has evolved his game to fit what Philly needs. And the proof is in the pudding of what happened tonight. If he needs to go out for 50, granted, Embiid didn't play. I get it. So you were clearly the number one option. But Embiid is exactly the reason why he said, let me take a step back because this isn't my team. And I don't need to go nuclear I don't need to be Houston James Harden. Okay.
Yeah.
It's the first time in my career that I have the best big in the game or any big to play with. And I don't click Capella because he's a freaking roll to the rim, catch an alley guy. I don't count that. This guy is the best big in the game. When he's on, he's on. And he didn't play tonight, so he said, okay, let me put my big boy pants on. This shows you that he still has it in the tank to do it, and he'll pull it out. That didn't sound right, but he'll go ahead and he'll pull out that part of his game if he needs to. So that's how I feel about tonight. I was glad to see James go off for 45 game clinching shot. If he could mess some of that with what Embiid has coming back, I mean, you roll with the hot hand. Doc's going to do that, but man, I hope we see 7 games out of this series.
Yeah, and just looking at the box score, I mean, there's nothing that really jumps out. I mean, Boston out-rebounded Philly 38-28. Boston was plus 10 in rebounds.
They should have tonight.
Yeah, and I mean, I don't know. That's really significant to me that Philly could still win. I'm trying to find turnovers here to see if that pops, but
or free throws maybe.
Yeah. I don't know, man. I mean, the shooting percentage wasn't that crazy. Like, Philly did hit 44% of their threes, but Boston shot almost 60% from 2. So, I don't know. I'm really intrigued by this series. I would have bet you $100 that Boston would have won this series with no Embiid. And even like Embiid's out game 1, I would have said, yeah, Boston wins this series all day.
And I think I would have agreed with that. I think I would have agreed with that as well. But, man, you really cannot discount a player of James Harden's caliber.
No.
Yeah.
I was watching a show earlier, and they were almost laughing off the fact that James Harden could potentially have a big game and, make something happen for the Sixers. I don't think anybody would have genuinely been like, oh, yeah, I'm calling it tonight, like the Babe. Yeah, James Harden is going to be the guy tonight. But are you actually surprised that James Harden scored 40 something
Exactly.
points. Are
Right?
are you actually surprised that
Yeah.
James fucking Harden scored 40 something points? You know,
Yeah.
and nobody's actually surprised. It kills me. But that's why the NBA is so good, and it's extremely competitive. In any single night,
Yeah.
somebody who you weren't expecting could go for a very
Yeah.
very nice game, whether it be 40 something points, whether it be 20, 10, and 8, whatever the case may be.
Yeah. Yeah, and I agree with what you were saying, Mike, earlier about how Harden just tailored his game to this season. I throughout the course of the season, I've been a very big proponent of Harden in that
Mhm.
sense. That I
Mhm.
think Harden sneaky should have been an All NBA player this year. I don't know if he will make an All NBA team, but I think he has a very good argument, and I would put him on the third team in one of those guard spots. Because I think he was just playing smart this year.
Yeah.
He's not washed, he's not done,
Nope.
he's not dead,
Nope. Nope.
but he's just playing what fits. I mean, Petrie, we saw it with the Heat, right? With Chris Bosh coming down and being third banana on the Heat. It's not like Chris Bosh is a 17-10 guy,
Yeah, exactly.
but
Yeah.
he was for 4 straight years with LeBron and Wade. Like, that's just what happens. And props to James Harden for doing it right.
Mhm.
There are guys that don't accept that, and they just cause issues. They don't fit in. They kind of bounce around. But props to James Harden for playing smart, good, team-oriented basketball this year. And I'm happy for him that he can kind of shove it in the face of his detractors. I mean, I'm a critic of playoff Harden like the rest of them, but I'm happy for him tonight.
Russell Westbrook comes to mind right now because a lot of people were writing him off too. All
Yeah.
right. And I don't understand why. Like, do you know how hard it is to average a triple double? Like, for crying out
Yeah.
loud, he did it with the Wizards.
Yeah.
But he comes to mind right now because that's another guy that everybody said, oh, I don't want him on my team. He's this, he's that, he's that. When guys get older and they haven't won, they're going to do whatever it takes to win. Okay.
Yeah.
And that's what James Harden's doing right now. And I believe that's what Russ was doing. Obviously, he couldn't do it in LA. I read an article or saw a tweet. I can't remember. It was a verified account. They tried to make what Russ a shooter.
Yeah.
What? Like,
Doesn't make
of course
sense.
it's not going to work. Of course it's not going to fit. And people were like, relax. He goes to a place where he's familiar, whatever, letting him be him. And, he's showing he's still got it. He's a free agent. We'll see
Yeah.
what's going to happen this year. I hope he stays with LA. I would love the Clippers to have a season, them fully healthy. But I just wanted to bring that up because I thought it was, comparable.
Yeah. Petrie, any last thoughts? Or Mike,
I got a go ahead, Petrie. I got something I want to ask you
No,
guys.
you got to go ahead, Mike.
I'm looking at this. I have to admit I didn't watch any of the Boston game today. Daddy duties around the house, but I'm looking at the starting lineup and Robert Williams didn't start. Devin White started. So my question to you is, has he been starting, or was that something that that the coaching staff for Boston decided to do for this series? Because Robert Williams, we saw how effective he was against Miami last year. Plays bigger than 6'9", only had 20 minutes,
Yeah.
had 7 boards. He was a +8, 6 points off the bench. Starting lineup for Boston was Tatum, Horford, Smart, White, and Brown.
I know that he's been losing his rotation minutes to some of their guards. Not playing what we like. He's not playing the way that he did last year in this year's playoffs. To be honest, I couldn't tell you off the top of my head how many games he started this postseason.
Wow. Okay. That's news to me. I guess.
Yeah, I couldn't as well. But, in watching a lot of East basketball, I mean, Mike, you know this for sure. I mean, watching the Bulls and the Celtics play a lot of times, they trust him though, man. They trust him a lot. So
They do.
it's
Yeah.
You're talking about White
it's
or Williams?
White. Yeah.
Oh,
Well,
yeah, of
Robert
course.
Williams too. I mean, Time Lord. Come on, man. He's something else. But man, with White, they really trust him to handle the ball and make sure
Yeah.
that everything's going the right way. Jason Tatum's going to pick up a lot of the discrepancies, and that's totally fine. But man, they really rely on him. So how many starts? I can't really say the answer to that. I don't know it, but
Yeah.
they have no problem with letting him run the ball.
Yeah.
What I'm surprised at is that Brogdon isn't getting that starting minutes. Although Brogdon did play 34 minutes, he played more minutes than Devin White. Okay, cool. But Brogdon, when they brought him in, I said, like, damn it, everybody that needed a point guard to kind of run
Yeah.
things in the offseason, they brought him in. Awesome pickup. And I mean, That's
Right,
the
but
team that
well, but if Brogdon does a fantastic job with the second unit, that can't be discredited as well.
Right.
I know Hero won the Sixth Man of the Year award the season before this one last year, and there was a lot of people that say, okay, well, he would be a starter on any other team, not any other team, but a lot of other teams.
Right.
Look at Jamal Crawford; he's the Sixth Man of the Year. He's the poster boy for the
Yeah.
Sixth Man of the Year, and he would start for a ton of teams. So yeah, just because Malcolm Brogdon's coming off
Mhm.
the bench doesn't mean that they disvalue his
True.
level of performance,
True.
but they might just really trust him to run with the twos and pour it on. Maybe, hey, let's
Yeah.
make it really painful for them
'Cause he's a
while
starter.
we're
Yeah.
sitting guys like
Yeah.
Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum.
Yeah, because
So-
that's a legit starter. You're right.
Looking at plus minus.
So if he
The
likes
entire-
it, that's him.
Yeah. The entire starting lineup for Boston was a negative in plus minus.
Yeesh.
In a 4-point loss, Malcolm Brogdon was plus 14 in 34 minutes. So
All
I
right,
mean,
well,
that
maybe
means-
maybe they'll start him next game.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you play him 34 minutes and he's plus 14. Like, how do you lose?
Yeah.
You know, it means you got killed in the other 14 minutes that he didn't play.
I like Devin
Yeah.
White a lot. He played well last year. You know, in the playoffs, he was the conference finals. He had some nice minutes. He was excuse me, the only damn it, getting over a cold. The only starter that didn't score in double digits. Doesn't take anything away from him. It's game one. All right, I get it, but I'm just wondering how, because it's a series, man. It's first to four, and I've always asked the question in a series: when is it that I got to make a change with the lineup? Do you wait one game? Do you wait 2 games? Is 2 games too late if you're down 0-2? So I'm just wondering. I'm going to keep an eye on if they, mess with this roster. I mean, this starting lineup.
Yeah. Okay. Petrie, did you have any last words? I know I cut you off last time I asked you. Or are you good?
No, Heat and 5. That's it.
Heat and 5. I love it. And make sure you guys go check out About the Fans. They're, of course, the sponsor for this show. For all you Heat and 5 fans out there, make sure you get a shirt to commemorate it. And you know what? Might just happen in this series. But until next week, I'm Jordan. We got Petrie and Mike on here. This is About the Buckets. Thank you all so much.